My thanks to Steph Guthrie and MediaTek Commons for the opportunity to speak to you. I'm John Deverell, the Green Party candidate in Toronto Centre, and by way of background, I'm a lifetime trade unionist, chief steward of the editorial department at the Toronto Star, and a past president of the Southern Ontario News Media Guild. So I know the issues you're talking about. You've asked me to speak about temporary foreign workers, about interns, about independent contractors, and about the federal government's treatment of the CBC. These are all important questions. I understand why you're asking them. I'd also like to give you a perspective on how I'm approaching this by-election. Because if the truth be admitted, and why wouldn't we, this by-election will not change the balance of power in the House of Commons. It's in the nature of a by-election that it's only one seat, and even if the government were to lose all of the seats that are up for grabs at the moment, it would still be a phony majority government, and Stephen Harper would still be doing whatever he wants to do. The by-election can't change that. What it can change is the attitudes of the opposition party leaders. I'm, for instance, saying that what must be front and center if the current government is to be removed in 2015, we need an alignment between the Liberals and the New Democrats in which both parties are campaigning for and promising a change in the electoral system to equal effective votes and proportional representation in a democratic House of Commons. With that in place, we can imagine having some interesting legislation on some of these other questions which concern you. But until that happens, we have Stephen Harper, a false majority government, which is clearly planning to campaign against existing labor legislation, never mind improvements in labor legislation. The thing that has to be said here, in terms of the issues that you've raised, is and again, speaking as honestly as possible, these matters aren't as simple as they seem. For instance, throughout my life, an issue in Canadian politics has always been foreign aid, and it finally became apparent, it's been apparent to most of us, that a great deal of foreign aid is wasted and does not achieve the good things that we ever hoped it would. Whereas trade on a large scale, which is causing many problems in the Canadian labor market for many people, is also producing pretty amazing positive results in countries where positive results are really needed, like China. So we can't take simply the view that we protect the Canadian labor market, protect the conditions, without regard to the effects of globalization and international competition and all the rest of it. What the Green Party is saying is, let's do our part dealing with climate change, and that means a carbon tax, that means revenue to the government, but to guarantee that this will not be a tax grab, but in fact is just designed to change our behavior around fossil fuel consumption, what we're saying is, we have lots of people, students and others in this society, who need more money in their pockets to deal with tuition and living costs of going to school. But even the ones who aren't going to school need some help to get started in their careers. That should be a guaranteed income supplement. And it could be financed by the revenue from a carbon tax. And if the carbon tax goes up, it would only go up if the United States and some other countries start to take action to correspond to Canadian action. As the carbon tax goes up, Canada's guaranteed income supplement to all Canadians over 18 could go up until it finally starts to become a guaranteed annual income. But to get there, I'm sure all Canadians in the lower income categories, whatever reason they're there, need some extra help, and that would help put them on the side of doing something about climate change. That's the kind of approach that the Green Party thinks the entire Canadian Parliament should be taking to deal with the real questions which face us. Thank you for indulging me and for watching this video.